Well, in my last video, we looked at the fact that both marriage and singleness are special gifts from God of equal value to Him. And we talked about the fact that the gift of singleness is not an elusive superpower, but the truth is that when you're single, you have the gift of singleness, and when you're married, you have the gift of marriage. And I want to spend some time in this video just delving deeper into the truth that singleness is an equal gift to marriage. Because my heart is to want to help those of us who are single to not come under any shame about being single, but be free to fully enjoy the gift God's given us. Now, I think when you think about the different stages that you might go through in life, I think the danger is that we can see those through the lens of a hierarchy or a ladder to climb. So, you've got singleness at the bottom, and then you move on to dating, and then you move on to being engaged, and then you reach your goal of being married, and you're moving up the ladder. Then when you have kids, you've gone up another rung, and the point at which you really made it to the top is when you become grandparents, and that's when you know you've fully arrived. Now, don't hear me wrong, I don't want to take away any joy that grandparents feel. I saw my parents when my niece was born, and it was a beautiful thing, and I would love to be a grandparent. But the challenge is, if we see those stages of life as a hierarchy, as a ladder to be climbed, there is a major issue for people who are single, because they are always at the bottom. And if we see it through that lens, and if you're single and you're always at the bottom, the result of that is you will often feel shame for being single. The truth is that those stages of life, actually in God's sight, are not hierarchical, they're not a ladder to climb, they're linear. They are linear, they are all of equal value to God. So you could be married or dating or single, have kids, don't have kids, all of it, it's linear. It's all of equal value in the sight of God, and that is hugely important to understand. I remember hearing a story several months ago now of a family that I'm really close to in the church, and their son came home from school one day, I think he was about 6, and he told his dad that they'd been talking about marriage at school. And I heard later on that the dad had then talked to him about, what does the Bible teach about marriage? What does God think about marriage? But then he'd also said to his son in the same conversation, sometimes people stay single, and that is also God's gift to them. That is also a special gift. And when I heard that, it made my heart so happy, because I thought, wow, this boy is going to grow up knowing that whether he goes on to get married or whether he stays single, that both of those things are gifts from God, and they are both of equal value. And I just thought that was amazing. And I am so grateful personally for my parents. My parents have never made me feel less than for the fact that I've never been married. But even though that's the case, I've still had to wrestle through shame. I've still had to be aware of the shame I feel sometimes about being single. Things like the question of, what's wrong with me? Why haven't I been chosen? I kind of feel like I've been left behind. I haven't progressed through the stages of life that are the norm, that are the expected stages to go through. And you go through life, and when you get to my age, you've seen your peers get married, and then people younger than you start to get married and go through those stages, and you can end up feeling, what's wrong with me? I feel left behind. You can end up feeling, I don't fit the mould. I don't fit the mould. Because of that, I'm isolated, I'm different, I'm rejected. You can wrestle with all of those things. And also, honestly, for me, one of the things I've wrestled with is feeling like I haven't properly grown up yet, because in order to properly grow up, you tend to go through these expected stages. And all of those things can make you feel shame. And the problem with shame is that it makes you hide, and it makes you more susceptible to listening to the lies of the enemy, and it means you really don't flourish in all that God's called you to do or to be. And so we've got to understand that the different stages of life we may find ourselves in are not hierarchical, they're not a ladder to climb, they're linear. They're all of equal value to God. And I just want to encourage you, if you are watching this and you're single and you know that you're wrestling with some shame, I want to encourage you, get time with the Father. Sit with him and say, Father, what do you think about me? Help me to see myself through your eyes. What is your perspective on my singleness? And I want to just encourage those of you who are watching who are married to think about what you're communicating to your kids or to the single people around you. Are you communicating to them the truth that both marriage and singleness are equal gifts from God of equal value in His sight? In the next video, I want to talk about how we get faith for our singleness. When you listen to Paul speak in 1 Corinthians 7 about singleness, it's very clear that he has got faith for his singleness. How did he get it? How do we get it? So that we can be all that God's called us to be and enjoy the gift He's given us.